Hey, what's up guys, welcome back. And this is going to be very interesting video because we are going to cover two things. One is Deno and second is Flutter. So we will use Deno for our backend and we will use Flutter for our front end, and we will make a quotes application which will be in Flutter and which will consume data from our API, which we will create in Deno. So if you don't know what Deno is, so Deno is very much similar to what Node.js is. So it's the same creator has created Deno. Like people call it Deno. I don't know how to pronounce it, but yes, Deno is what I know. Okay, so let's see what exactly Deno is. So as you can see, there are three words which are highlighted. One is secure, second is JavaScript, and third is TypeScript. So secure is the total idea of Deno, and JavaScript is basically, you know, that I think one of the most famous thing in the tech world is JavaScript, and TypeScript is what people would want to write code in today's era when they think about web. So yes, so these are the three things which Deno covers, and it's using the same V8 engine which Node.js uses, and it's because it's by the same creator. So yeah, obviously the ideas will be the same, but yes, the execution will be a little bit different, and it is built in Rust. Node.js was built in C++. So we'll use this, and this is pretty new and this has been trending. So I thought let's use it, and let's create some API and try to use it with our Flutter application. And so first of all, you'll have to install Deno, and it is pretty straightforward. If you are using Windows, I'll suggest to use Chocolatey, and just run choco install Deno. If you are using Mac OS, which I'm using right now, so you can use brew install Deno. And if you are using Linux, you can just run this simple curl command, and you are good to go. Now there are like couple of ways it is different from Node.js, which we will talk about inside the video. And before we start, I'll just want to give you a short demo of Flutter application which we will create. So let's see that. So I'm opening my simulator. This is the Codes X, which is using Velocity X. Yes, you got it right. So this is the application. You can see the code, and these codes have some animations as well. Yes, and these are coming from our backend, which we have written in Deno. And there's a share button also by which you can like share your code with someone, like on WhatsApp, Facebook, wherever you want. So yes, that's what we are going to make in next few minutes. Okay, let's start. So first of all, I am here in my terminal. I am in one folder which is Deno Tuts, and I will create one directory here, and I'm going to name it Codes API. Okay, so this is what we are going to make. So cd Codes API, and I'm assuming that you have already installed Deno. So let me just try to run Deno, and let's see what it gives me. Deno 1.0.0. There is some REPL as well, so you can play, let's say 1 plus 5 and give 6. So that means it is working pretty fine. Okay, now we are inside the Codes API folder. I'll open this with my Visual Studio Code. So code dot, and it will open Visual Studio Code for me. Okay, now we are here. So we will create our first file, and we will name it index.ts. You can like name it anything, it's totally your choice. In index.ts, we have to we will go to documentation, because yeah, we are not that smart. We will follow the documentation. So here you can see the first line is very much different how you write in Node.js. So it is saying that import serve from. Now after from, it is giving me some kind of link, which is a TypeScript file itself. And that is where I think there will be a lot of debate, because in Node.js it is very much shorter than this, as well as it is something which is very hard to remember. So every time you have to like go to some documentation or some notes, and you have to like use that. So that is the idea behind, I think, to make it more secure and everything. So they have thought about these things, obviously. So yeah, there are a couple of things which you have to write more than what you write in Node.js, but yes, that's fine. That is what Deno is all about. But you get the support for TypeScript out of the box, so that's pretty interesting. So this is something which we have used. Now the second thing is that we need the server. So for that, we can write const s is equal to serve, and we will specify the port, which is 8000. By default, it will use localhost. And the third line is basically doing that console.log, and it is actually using this particular statement to log, which is http localhost 8000 whatever. And then it is saying that for all the requests, there's a for loop with await keyword, which is pretty interesting, little bit different than how we write. and then it is saying send hello world. Now to run this, this is pretty tricky as per like if you have been using Node.js. So we will go to our terminal and let's see. And this is not we are going to write, so don't worry, we will use something. So codes API, here you have to run write deno space run and then the name of the file, so index.ts. This is going to give me error, and that's where security part comes. So let me just enter, and you will see it is compiling, and then error, uncaught permission denied, network access to this particular host name and port has been denied. Why? Because you have to use a flag here, which means if you want security, then you have to like it's by default it is not true, so you have to give a flag to make this permission allowed. So that's what we will do. So we will say deno run index.ts, and we will use this flag allow net. Okay, and I'll run it, and now you can see we have http localhost 8000. Now let me just click over here and we will see hello world. Okay, so this is pretty easy. This is just a copy paste version of it. This is not what we are going to make, right? So what we are going to make is actually a codes API. So for that we need two modules, and here if we go to Deno's website, then you will see the first module which we need is basically, where it is, I cannot see it. Can you see it? Let me just refresh it. Okay, even if we don't find it, then we will find it from somewhere. Okay, so let's go to this third party modules. So first thing which we want is drun. Drun is basically nothing but it's very much similar to nodemon, so it will help you in automatically restarting your server. So yeah, that's where it comes. And for some reason installation part is missing. This readme has some problem, but I have got you covered. So here we have deno install allow read allow run unstable, and this is the link which you have to just copy. This is just a script link, and you have to go and just write this in your terminal, and it will install this particular thing for you, and it should be installed in my application. But let's do it again. That's not a problem, right? Okay, so it is saying existing installation found, so abort. Yes, I already have this. Now this is the first thing which we need, but there is another thing which we need, and that is our second module, and that would be, let me just search it. It should be deno train. So deno train is our second module, which is very much similar to express.js. So you can see it's inspired by express.js. We will use it for routing and all the API requests and all. So for this also the installation is pretty much like similar how we were using the normal server. So you have to just import these lines of code and you should be good to go. So I'll just copy this part and I'll go back here. Let me just delete all of these, and I'll just say application router, and this is the URL which you have to copy, or you have to just write it somewhere. Right now we need an app, so we will say const app, and we can say new application. I think app options are kind of compulsory, so please specify this braces, because in documentation there is no braces, but it will give you an error if you want to specify it. Now we also need router, so I can say const router is equal to new router, and we should be good with this. Yes, this is fine. And then we have some cookies thing and all that. We don't need that, right? And now I can just say app dot get, okay, slash on slash I want to get my context, and using this context, like I can print something. So let's return hello world for now, or let's say hello Pawan from Deno, something like this. Okay, and to finally run it, we have to write await app dot run, and that's pretty much you have to do. Like we are not using the router yet, so we will use it later, but now let's try this and let's see if this works. So now we also want to use this thing which we installed, which is drun, and to run it basically you have to say drun, then entry point you have to specify. If we go back here, then you can see drun entry point is equal to the name of the folder. So let me just write it for you here. So you will write drun dash dash entry dash point is equal to, and then you will say dot slash Okay, it should be like this, dot slash index.ts. Okay, this is not how it was. Okay, I have added some extra brackets which we don't need. Now we should run it. Entry point is still required. It is saying that why. Oh yes, so I am actually writing it not properly, so it should be entry and point. And yes, it is now compiling, and it should be ready. Yes, it is serving on, as you can see, we haven't specified the port ourselves, so it is serving on 0003000. And now if I go there, if I open this, then you will see hello Pawan from Dino. And now without restarting the server, what I'll do, I'll change few things here. Let's say from Dino, which is node, kind of something like that. And as soon as I save it, the server restart itself. And if I refresh it, oh, it's gone. Okay, it's fine. So hello Pawan from Dino, which is node, which is Dino, which is node. Okay, so this is what we got. And now we will use our router, and let's make an API. How we will make it? So we will make an API for quotes. So what I'll do, I'll create a new file here. I'll say quotes.ts, and here first of all I will create some kind of interface. Let's say interface, and I can say it, let's say quote is fine. Okay, inside this interface we have to give some field, so we can say quote text, which is going to be a string. That's the beauty of TypeScript over JavaScript, that you can specify the types explicitly. And then we will say quote author, and it will also be string. You can like specify n number of these things, right? Okay, so now what we need is we actually need let me export a constant of quotes, okay, which will be of type array and of this quote type. And then we need some data. Okay, so I have some data already here, so let me just go here and copy and paste it. And this data is what we will give to our API. Let me just remove this. And yes, so this is the data, like it has quote text and quote author, and this is something which I'll be like giving back in terms of API to my Flutter application. And yes, this is more or less what you have to do. Now we will go back to index.ts, and for this router thing, let's do one thing, app.use, and we will use /API for router. Okay, and we can just say router, and let me just like write it here. And now we can say, in case of router.get, what we want, if it's let's say /quotes, if this is the API which you are targeting, then I want to return basically okay, return, and I want to return quotes. Okay, so I can just make a JSON and I can say quotes, and then I want to just paste the quotes. And now we have to import these quotes, right? So if I go here, if I try to import from here, yes, it will do that for me, but I have to say .ts, otherwise it won't work. And I think we are good to go. Now we are serving on this particular port. Now let's try it. So this is still working, hello Pawan. Now we will say /API, it won't work. And then we can say /quotes, it should work. Yes, so this is the data which we are like getting on this particular API, but this will not work with our phone yet, because this host name will not directly work. So what I'll do, I'll use the network of like the Wi-Fi which I'm using. I use that network and will try to communicate via that network to our application. So here if I go to my settings, I can see this is my address 192.168 or something. So here in the application, so now we have to specify our host name. So what I'll do, I'll go to my settings, I'll copy the network URL from here now, and I'll just paste it over here, and then let's rerun our server and let's see what happens. So yes, now it is serving on this particular URL. If I'll try to open this, then you will see the same thing. It's saying hello Pawan from Dino, which is Node. Now if I go to slash API slash quotes, then also it should work. Yes, quotes, quote text and all these things. So we are getting our data. Now we will try to, like, we will keep this server running, and then we will go to our Flutter application and we will write some code to consume this. So here is my Flutter application. This is the default application which we get. And now what I'm gonna do here is, first of all, I'll delete all the things which we don't need. So we don't need all of these, and pretty much this as well, and pretty much this as well. Yes. And now we can remove the title as well, or let's change it to quotes X. Okay, so this is what we want. And then we will also disable the banner which we generally have, and let's delete this home page as well entirely. And let me just get rid of this, and let's add a container for now, because we will make a separate page. In the pubspec.yaml we need few dependencies. So first thing I will add would be my favorite, which I made, Velocity X, because I cannot, not promoting, but I cannot imagine anything without it now. I write my UI is using Velocity X. Second dependency which we need is HTTP to make network request. So that is what we need. Third thing which we need, guys, is share plugin, so that we can share our text or quote. So these are the three plugins which we need. And now we will work on creating the let's say UI and all that stuff, right? So what we will do, this is what we have right now, and we will first of all try to run this, so on our simulator or whatever. So first of all we will create home page. So I can say homepage dart, and inside that I will import all the things which are necessary. So material.dart is necessary, Velocity X is necessary, and then I need HTTP as well. So http.dart as HTTP, and these things are, even once these things are ready, then I will create a stateless class, and I can name it home page. Why stateless? Because I'm gonna use future builder here, and so that it will support anyway everything. So I can say, let's say material here, and for child I can say future builder, and inside future builder we will do some stuff. So future builder, what it takes, it gives you some snapshot and all those things. So we will clearly see that. So we will apply some logic here. We will check if our snapshot dot connection state, we will check connection state. So connection state is basically what's happening with connection, right? Whether it is active, whether it is done. So if it is done, then let's say we will return something of stage for now, and yeah, this is fine. Else if connection state is let's say snapshot dot connection state, if it is connection state dot one second, guys, so it is none, then we will say returned something like something went wrong dot text dot make centered. Okay, something like this. And then there is one more situation, which is else, or any situation if that comes, then we can say return circular progress indicator for active, or like waiting for something, and dot centered. So this is what we have. And now here, when we are saying if the connection is done, then we will check if snapshot dot has data. If it has data, then we will return something, and if does not have data, then what we will do, we will return maybe saying nothing found. Okay, something like this, dot text dot make centered. Yeah, so this is pretty much the setup. And now for future builder we need some future as well. So we will say fetch data, and fetch data is basically a method which I'm just going to create. Fetch data, this will be an asynchronous method. And here what I'll do, I need few things. First thing is basically I want the URL which I want to access, so I can say final URL. And guys, this is the URL we are hitting, which is 192.168 something. So this is the URL which we are hitting. So this is the URL, and now we want the response. So we will use this HTTP library and .get method, and we will pass this URL. And now because it can take some time, so we need to await this as well, right? Once we have the response, then what we will do, we will actually return the response, but it will be after parsing the JSON. So we will say JSON decode, which will import this Dart convert, and then we can pass the source, which is rest.body. Okay, and once we have the body, then we can see like in the body we need this quotes, right? So we will mention this quotes here because it will give us a map. So I will say quotes, and once I do that, now we are good to go. And in the main.dart, rather than container, I can now say home page, and let's run this application and let's see if this works. So now I am running this application on my iPhone 11 Pro, and let's see what happens if we get data or not. What's like what we get. Let's see everything. So it's running, it's launching. So basically what we have done is basically let me explain. We have a material inside that we have a future builder. Future builder is used to communicate with any future, like where the data can come in future, and then it gives you a callback which gives you snapshot where you can just check if it has data or not, if the connection is working or not, and you can show various UIs depending on that. So that is the idea behind future builder. And then once it is done, then you can see that in the main we are just doing nothing basically, and we have used three libraries for this. One was Velocity X, so that these kind of things are possible, like it's very short and clear syntax. The second thing which we have used is HTTP library, this one, which is we are using for fetching data from our API, and this is our local API which is still running. If I will show you, this is still running, as you can see, right? This is serving. And the third thing which we have used is, which we haven't used yet, and that is our share plugin, which we will use for sure. And now you can see this is what we got, just blank data, nothing found or anything. If I remove this part, then you will see that we will see nothing found, because we are getting data for sure, and that's why we are seeing nothing. And if I refresh it, then we should see circular progress indicator as well, and it was shown for a while, but yeah, for a very very small time. So that means everything is fine. Now what I'll do here, rather than returning off stage, I will return something called VX Swiper. So it is again something which you can use. It came from Velocity X, okay, and it needs some items. So what I'm gonna do, for items, I'm gonna say snapshot, okay, dot data. So data is what we need, quotes are coming over here, and we will map it in terms of widget. So we want these as widgets, and then we will get the elements. And if you see, we want if we go back to our API here, we want the code text. So what we can see over here is that give us this thing which is EL, and inside brackets we can say code text, okay. And then what we want dot, not this, dot text dot make. So basically what it will do, it will give us all the code text. Let's see, okay, list widget, and then we have to say one more thing, that is dot to list. So to list is basically you use with map. So now it should work. Let's see. Yes, so you can see we got this particular we got all the quotes which are there. If I show you the quotes, then the first quote was genius is 1% inspiration, and then something like that. So the first quote here is that where it is gone, yes, genius is 1% inspiration and all. Okay, this is working fine, but this is not looking the best which I wanted. So first of all, I want vertical swipe. So what I can say here is scroll direction, and I can say axis dot vertical. For the height, I want to take the entire height, so I can use context dot screen height. This again becomes possible because of Velocity X. And for viewport, for fraction, we want to use 1.0, so we want to use entire portion basically. And then guys, I want some color so that it looks good. So what I'll do, for this VX swiper, basically what we can do, we can wrap it with something like stateful builder. Okay, so that basically we can change the color every time when something like that happens, like if you swipe. So this builder gives us two things. One is context and second is set state. So we are going to use it for sure, and we will say return, and then after this we can just say this and this, something like this. No, okay, this is the problem. It should be good now. Yep. So now we are like using stateful builder. Inside that, what we can say, we have, let's say, a color, and it's, let's say, by default it's red color, and then yeah, it's not still visible. But what we can do here is basically, rather than just saying this text, we can use something called VStack. VStack is basically, we want some children. So first thing we will write, let's say, quotes. Okay, quotes x, so that's fine, dot text dot white dot, let's say, excel2 dot make. So once we do that, okay, it's good. And now for this entire VStack, we will wrap it with an animated box. We will give the color which we have, the color which we just made, and then we can say dot make. Let's see how that works. So yes, this is what we got, and this is not still covering the entire box. Why? Because we have to give some height to this animated box as well. So we can again specify the height, and we can say context dot screen height. Let's see. Yes, and now our quotes x is somewhere on the top. So what I can do basically for that, okay, so basically for this particular VStack, I can write few things, and that would be first thing would be cross axis alignment, so that would be center, and then main axis alignment, so alignment, and that will be space around. So I will add more data. So quotes x is now finally in the center, and then after this quote x, I want a few more items. So I want the quote which I just copied and pasted. This is my quote which is on the bottom, and then I want a share button. So share button, we can use icon button, and icon button has this icon property where I can use icons dot share. Let's say color, I can give colors dot white. Okay, and on press we will do something, so don't worry about that. So now we have all these things. Now it's looking good, but if I swipe, it is also working, but this text is not the best. So for that, what we will do, first of all, we will make it white, then I will make it, let's say, excel3, something like this. Okay, we need some padding with this stack as well, so we can say animated box dot p16, so that it can give us some padding. This is looking better. And then let's make it italic as well. This is looking even better. This is, let's make it bold as well. Okay, this is good. And now add a shimmer effect over here using velocity x dot shimmer, and yes, this is pretty nice. And let's try to, what we can do here, we can again make wrap it with a box, and we can give some shadow as well, shadow excel dot make, and this will look good. Yes, but the only problem is guys, that first of all, this is not the best. Why? Because of the background is something which is like messing things. So we will work on that. What I will do, let me just tell you. And for this icon size, I'm gonna give it, let's say, 30, so that it looks little bit bigger. And now this is something which is also not looking so good. Let me just see, quotes x, let's make it bold as well, right? This is looking good, better. Okay, this is working fine. Now let's do work on colors. So I'll create few colors, guys. So here I will have, let's say, final colors, and I can use VX library to get some colors. So VX dot, let's say, we get gray 800. Similarly, we can get red 800 and blue 800, right, and same green 800. Then we can get let's say teal 800, purple 800, all these color, pink 800. Okay, there are a lot of colors. And last one more, let's say orange 800. So these are all the colors. And what I'll do, basically I'll randomly pick one of these colors. So how many are these? 3 3 3 6 2 8 8 colors are there. So rather than saying colors dot red, I will use these colors. Okay, and then inside that I will use a random class, which I will import a Dart math for that, and I'll say next int, and I'll say 8, and this will give me color. So every time I swipe, the color is not changing. Why? Because in this VX swiper we have another callback, which is on page changed. Okay, and here what I want to do is I want to set state. Basically, why? Because I want to change the color every time when like page is changed. So now if I do that, you can see this, and this is looking pretty good. This is what we wanted to create. Now let's try this share functionality. Okay, this is not working. So share, for this share we will go to this on pressed, and we will use the plugin share. We will import it, and then we can say share, and for this text I will just copy this part. That is what our text is, and then I can just do this. And now if I press here, it's not working. Yeah, it's giving me some error. I think what happened is like we have to restart our application to make it work, or maybe let's do a hot restart so that we can see if it's actually a problem or not. And yes, it's working. And now if I click on, let's say, copy, then I can copy this. How we can see it? Let's open message. Let's open reminders, and let's try to paste it. And yes, genius is 1% inspiration. So this is working, guys. If you will have normal app like your mobile, then you can share these things with your friends, and this is pretty good. I mean, I can also increase this size a little bit, and yes, this is what you get. So yeah, pretty awesome. And our server is running, our application is there, and we all like did it in few minutes only. And yeah, this is our application, which is built in Flutter, and we are using our Dino API for communicating. So you can see here, this is still running. Once we stop that, let's try to stop this, and now let's do a hot restart with our application. Let's see what happens, and we should see some error. And you can see progress indicator was running, and we got some socket exception, as you can see here. So why? Because the server is not running, and it will keep doing this. And let me just remove the uncaught exception, and let's see what happens. And we see nothing found. So basically this is the idea, guys. This is how it works, and I'll make more tutorials if you want on Dino, on backend and everything. Please keep supporting, press the like button now, and subscribe to the channel right now. Also let me know what you think about these tutorials. Press the bell icon to get future updates, and share with your friends, because there are a lot of people who wants to learn, especially in this lockdown. So it will be very helpful for me as well. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye bye, take care, see you in the next video.